Disappointed with 7th in race 1, Wagner Ibrahim lined up 2nd this time with high hopes for race 2. Series returnee Justin Wilson claimed 3rd, delighted with his last-minute chance to race for Meritus, while Toby Schechter's 4th on the grid was a substantial improvement on 15th in race 1. Perfect conditions again for the second race and a perfect start from the pole position man. Etienne van der Linde blasting away into the lead as Meritus teammates Ibrahim and Hall battled for 2nd. A brave move by Schechter around the outside almost claimed the lead, but he ran out of room and van der Linde was able to hold on. The race 1 winner led, Ibrahim 2nd, Schechter fighting off Hall, van der Ende and Malkin as his Pagani teammate Christian McKenna survived a grassy moment in car number 3. As ever, the midfield was a maelstrom on the opening lap, everybody jostling for position in every turn. Van der Linde led by over a second from Ibrahim, Schechter and Hall as van der Ende, Malkin and Fernando Pantani squabbled over 5th behind them. The leader was pushing hard, while Schechter's move on Ibrahim for 2nd ended in tears, the South African spin forcing the following pack to take avoiding action. The teenagers' race was over. Britain's Stuart Mosley, 95, and Stuart Saggers battled over 8th. The countryman Charles Hall was out as well. Ibrahim was now under threat from Pantani, Schechter's teammate, but this was the battle for 5th. Van der Ende taking 2nd from Hall and Malkin in the confusion after Schechter's spin. Pantani's move around the outside didn't quite come off. Andrew Kirkcaldy's slender points lead was slipping away. The Scot had run into the back of Pantani as they avoided Schechter's spinning car, destroying his nose and with it his hopes of hanging on to his championship lead. Problems too for Piccini, a late race puncture. He decided to try and limp home on the deflating cover, but 2 laps from the flag, the tyre gave up the struggle. Watch again as the tyre explodes. Piccini does everything he can to avoid hitting Schechter. Van der Linde increased his race-long lead to win comfortably from Jackie van der Ende and Darren Malkin. It was the South African teenager's 6th victory of the year, his 2nd double-win weekend. 4th went to Justin Wilson, completing a good weekend for him, while American newcomer Paul Edwards claimed 6th from 18th on the grid. Van der Linde takes back the series lead, and while any of the top 6 could still win it, realistically the battle's between Kirkcaldy and van der Linde. Can Kirkcaldy stop the rot in races 15 and 16 at Ireland's Mondello Park? Find out after the break. Rounds 15-16 of the Formula Opel European Union Series were held at the recently extended Mondello Park near Dublin. The Irish Finance Minister officially opened the newly finished circuit where the Formula Opels would provide the focus of attention. On pole for Saturday's first race was Scotsman Andrew Kirkcaldy, 2nd in the championship. Just 0.3 of a second slower in practice was points leader Etienne van der Linde from South Africa. Englishman Justin Wilson was 3rd, a further 0.2 adrift, while Italian Andrea Piccini had qualified in 4th place. In 5th was early season title contender Jackie van der Ende, while the top Irish driver had qualified in 6th. It was Peter Duke. 31 cars packed the grid, every driver trying to make up ground as they rushed towards the first corner. There were a few close calls, but everybody made it safely through. Poleman Kirkcaldy leading them out into the country, chased by van der Linde. A good start had allowed van der Ende to take 3rd from Wilson and Piccini, Darren Malkin completing the top 6. It had been vital to Kirkcaldy that he hold on to his advantage from pole. And now out front, the Scot was intent on making a break before the field settled down. Van der Linde was equally intent on not letting him, staying right on his tail. Mondello Park's owner, former racer Martin Bahrain, has spent £1.5 million Irish punts extending the circuit to 3.5 kilometres. And another £1.5 million is earmarked for a new pits complex to further enhance Ireland's top motorsport venue. By the end of the first lap of the new-look circuit, Kirkcaldy held almost 1 full second's advantage over Van der Linde and the chasing pack of 10 cars. Problems early on for Jackie van der Ende. The Dutchman's nose wing had been damaged and his car was not handling at all well. Meanwhile, van der Ende's teammate continued to build on his early lead. The two championship contenders were in a class of their own in Ireland. Even as Kirkcaldy opened up a gap to van der Linde, they both raced away from the others. Over 5 seconds behind in third and fourth, Justin Wilson and Andrea Piccini were enjoying a great battle. The lanky Englishman making his second appearance of the season, the Italian racing at Mondello for his second consecutive year. While Piccini's early season title hopes had long since evaporated, Wilson was enjoying a no-pressure weekend away from his own title concerns back home in Britain. Van der Ende still held fifth, bent wing and all, from Darren Malkin and Toby Scheckter, the South African hounding the Englishman as he fought to find a way past. Malkin was equal to the task, fending his rival off, as Brazilian Wagner Ibrahim closed on them both from behind. Scheckter was now so close, he was in danger of running into the rear of Malkin's car. Yet still, the Englishman counted his every move around the twists and turns of the Parkland circuit. Finally, though, Scheckter squeezed past. But now Ibrahim was right there, and suddenly all three cars were side by side. Somehow, Scheckter missed the other two. He was now back in eighth. Kirkcaldy's speed early in the race had been highly impressive, but now he eased the pace slightly to conserve his tyres should he need to fight off a resurgent Van der Linde. Wilson still held Piccini at bay, determined to retain his third place, while Van der Ende kept clear of the squabble for sixth behind him, despite his bent nose wing. Malkin, Ibrahim and Scheckter now had Stuart Mosley, Christian McKenna and the rest of the field bearing down on them. Meanwhile, Irish Formula Opel champion Jason Pollock, one of a dozen local entrants, found himself edged onto the grass. Kirkcaldy had controlled the race from the front at his own pace and cruised to the flag comfortably ahead of Van der Linde. The Scotsman then claimed his fifth win of the season, Van der Linde in second, and Justin Wilson taking third place. And it's nice to see that in this world of enmity at the top of motorsport, the two race and title contenders still had time for a chat and a laugh after the race. So Kirkcaldy had closed the gap to just 12 points, but was it as simple as it looked?
Yeah, it was fairly straightforward. I mean, the first few laps are obviously, you've got to watch what you're doing and try and get away. But yeah, I mean, we got a gap fairly early and it was fairly straightforward from there on.
Sunday's race, round 16 of the series, was for the prestigious Leinster Trophy, one of Ireland's premier sports prizes. Sunday morning's conditions were just as conducive to good racing as those on Saturday, but the grid had changed around a little. This time, Etienne van der Linde sat on pole, the South African ahead of Kirkcaldy. The Scot had been just 600 slower in the second qualifying session. Jackie van der Ende, complete with new nose, was third, ahead of Chilean driver Christian McKenna. His teammate, Toby Scheckter, was fifth on the grid, while round 15 rival Darren Malkin had qualified this time in 6th. A good start by all the leading contenders away from the grid. Van der Linde quickly asserting himself ahead of Kirkcaldy. Malkin's move on the outside gained him 3rd place, with Van der Ende 4th, ahead of Scheckter, McKenna and Pantani in the 3 Vigani racing cars. But Piccini, Ibrahim and Charles Hall were all eliminated behind in an early scuffle. The pack immediately separating then the first 7 cars with a little break ahead of the rest of the field. The first lap is always a crucial time for a racing driver. An advantage established in the opening minutes is hard for rivals to claw back once the race settles down. Van der Linde's efforts were clearly evident from outside the car. The South African strove to put some breathing space between himself and Kirkcaldy. Behind Kirkcaldy, Darren Malkin held 3rd, while Jackie van der Ende was under attack from Toby Scheckter, the young South African running into the back of the Dutchman's car in an aborted outbraking manoeuvre. Van der Linde didn't seem to have a great deal more pace than the Scot, but Kirkcaldy's mirrors were full of Malkin, van der Ende and the rest, and he was unable to fully concentrate on chasing the leader, forced instead to defend his position at least as much as worry about where the South African was going. By the end of the first lap, Van der Linde was enjoying the sort of advantage that Kirkcaldy had held the day before. It was almost as if somebody had switched cars on them overnight. Malkin, van der Ende and the 3 Vigani racing cars of Scheckter, McKenna and Pantani battled behind them. The number 6 car was once again the centre of attention. Van der Ende's speed seemingly unchanged, fully functioning nose wings or not. Again, Scheckter was bottled up behind a slower car, and again he looked frustrated. Through the twists and turns of the Irish circuit, Scheckter looked first one way, then the other, trying to find a way past van der Ende. But every time he lined up a move, the Dutchman saw it coming and presented his teenage opponent with a firm rebuff. The South African's moves were bringing him closer and closer to the tail of van der Ende's car, both men pushing their machines to the very limit in their struggle for supremacy. This was really a repeat of Saturday's race with a few positions changed. Van der Linde ahead of Kirkcaldy, Darren Malkin taking Justin Wilson's 3rd place role from Saturday. While frustration had taken Scheckter and van der Ende out of the hunt, so McKenna was 4th, Pantani 5th, and Wilson in 6th place, where Darren Malkin had been the day before. Van der Linde's first 2 laps had really done the damage. Kirkcaldy was now little more than 1/10 of a second off the leader's times, but that just wasn't enough. He couldn't find the speed of the day before. Scheckter, meanwhile, had pitted for a new nose after his crash. Best placed of the Irish drivers was Vivian Daly, hassling Marco Stipp here for 7th place. Vivian's brother Derek raced in Grand Prix and Indy cars, but Mrs. Daly's younger son has become one of the real mainstays of the Irish racing scene. Vivian's been in Formula Opel from the early days and is still a regular championship contender and a tough man to beat. Scheckter's pit stop hadn't helped. He was forced to retire with terminal handling problems. The South African, already a winner in his maiden Formula Opel season, might have been out of the running, but his countryman wasn't. The new Mondello had been well received by drivers and spectators alike, but for van der Linde, the best part was the checkered flag, confirming his 7th win of the season, with Andrew Kirkcaldy in 2nd, Darren Malkin in 3rd. Victory then for van der Linde, effectively negating the weekend for the championship contenders with 1 win apiece. Kirkcaldy unable to find the result on Sunday that he needed so badly. As a result, the 2 of them will go to the final round as the only championship contenders, separated by 18 points. Grand Prix star Damon Hill, a Dublin resident, was the guest of honour. The ex-Formula One world champion presenting the magnificent Leinster Trophy to Etienne van der Linde, the South African a very happy winner.
It was easier than I thought it would be. I didn't really expect to win today. Well, I knew I could, but it would be really tough. Made a good start. Andrew had a fight with someone, I don't know who, in the first couple of laps. I managed to get the jump on him first 2 laps, which he did yesterday to me. So, and after that I was pushing hard, but just watching him, and it didn't seem like he was catching me. So after that I knew I could do it. I just kept calm and held the distance between us, and it paid off.
Second place, a disappointment for Kirkcaldy.
Yeah, it was a little bit. Qualifying didn't go very well. We were a little bit slower than Etienne, and we just really didn't have the pace in the race. Why, I don't know. We were quick enough yesterday by quite a bit, and today I think the set tires we had weren't quite as good as yesterday, but, you know, he won, and that's that.
Or is it? A total of 40 points are still on offer at the final 2 races at the Nürburgring. A pair of second places will be good enough for van der Linde, but both men will be going all out for victory. Will it be the Scot or the South African? Find out next time.